From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun. Hello and welcome tonight. Another day, another protest by members of the African Democratic Congress to INEC headquarters, this time by supporters to Bala Nafiu, who are demanding that the electoral body recognizes him as the party's legitimate chairman. Nigeria is not on the brink of collapse, but is instead on a clear path toward growth and improved security. That's according to the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. NDLEA Chairman Buba Marwa calls for a unified strategic approach to tackle insurgency across the country. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu directs his cabinet to begin direct negotiations with Lebanon, even as Iran accuses Israel of violating an existing ceasefire agreement.
On business news, Goldman Sachs lowers its oil price forecast for the second quarter of 2026 following the U.S.-Iran ceasefire.
On sports news tonight, FIFA names 52 referees to officiate at this year's World Cup in the United States, Canada and Mexico.
And from the nation's capital, Inspector General of Police Olatunji Disu meets with civil society groups in Abuja, reaffirming his commitment to people-centered policing.
We begin from the nation's capital, where members of the African Democratic Congress have staged a protest yet again at the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Abuja over the ongoing leadership crisis in the party. This time, the demonstrators are those loyal to Mr. Nafiu Bala, who is also laying claim to the chairmanship position of the ADC. The demonstrators, led by Mr. Bala and federal lawmaker Mr. Leke Abejide, are asking the electoral umpire to immediately recognize Mr. Bala as the authentic chairman of the party.
It's another day of protest at the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Abuja by members of the African Democratic Congress. Federal lawmaker Mr. Leke Abejide and Mr. Nafiu Bala are leading the demonstration. Heavy presence of security personnel are on ground at the INEC headquarters to prevent the breakdown of law and order. Here, the demonstrators make their demand.
As I address today, I argue INEC to place my name on the portal, to recognize me as the authentic national chairman of the African Democratic Congress, ordered by the Court of Appeal to maintain status quo ante bellum.
We have constitution that we all swore to uphold. In Article 9(4) is very clear. It says anybody who wants to aspire to hold national office or whatever at the national level must be 2 years in this party. What we're arguing here is that those who came and hijacked this party at that time, they came the same day and they handed over to them the same day. We are not in a banana republic. This cannot stand in the eye of the law.
The protesters present a written document containing their demands to the electoral umpire, who promised to look into the matter.
We will receive this, and I believe INEC as a commission will look at it. Thank you very much.
The ADC, as it stands, has at least 3 different groups laying claims to its leadership. They include the David Mark-led group, the Rafiu Bala-led group, and the group in association with the 2023 presidential candidate of the ADC, Mr. Dunebi Kachukwu.
In Kogi State, Governor Usman Ododo has called on the people of Kogi local governments to put up a formidable front in support of President Bola Tinubu ahead of the 2027 general elections. During a thank you visit to Koton Karfe, Governor Ododo emphasized that the united mandate for the president is not just a political necessity, but a critical requirement for consolidating the administration's ongoing economic reforms and driving national development. He also conducted an inspection of various ongoing infrastructure projects.
Governor Usman Ododo of Kogi State arrives to Karfe local government area of the state amid cheers, singing and jubilation by the residents.
The national anthem right here.
The governor is in the area for a thank you visit. His first point of call is the palace of the traditional ruler. In his speech, Tio Himege of Koton Karfe praised the governor for his impactful leadership, noting that his administration's strides in security and development have been wide across the state.
The impact of your governance is felt right here and felt all over the 21 local governments of the state. So we are lucky and proud to have you. Your very proactive and responsive disposition towards the issues of security is top-notch.
Governor Ododo commended President Bola Tinubu for taking difficult decisions, which he believes have laid the foundation for long-term economic stability and growth.
Please, let us just endure. The gridlock we are experiencing today is normal because the road is just like it's in an intensive care unit undergoing an operation. So you must feel that pain. It is just temporary.
Done with the royal visit, the governor meets political groups, including women and lawmakers from the zone. The people appreciate the governor for his leadership and the projects initiated by his administration.
You have empowered youth and women in this local government. You have remodeled the primary health center of Ahoko, Koton Karfe Township, Adangere, and Edeha, respectively.
Addressing the supporters and community leaders, Governor Ododo makes a case for the re-election of President Tinubu.
In terms of insecurity, Mr. President inherited this crisis of insecurity, but today he is addressing it and addressing it very excellently. From Abaji down to Kene, down to Itobe, you will see the presence of security agencies, both local and conventional security.
The governor concluded his visit to Koton Karfe with a clear message of continuity and gratitude.
Regardless of several challenges being witnessed in the nation, there are indications that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And that's according to the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, who spoke at the second edition of the Voice of Nigeria Forum 2026 in Abuja, the nation's capital. Mr. Idris, who says Nigeria isn't on the brink of collapse but stable, also used the occasion to highlight improvements in security operations, economic performance, and foreign investment as signs of national resilience. He also called for collective support from the media, civil society, and the private sector to sustain progress. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
The second edition of the Voice of Nigeria Forum 2026 is themed 51 years of Nigeria's role in deepening democratic stability in ECOWAS. The forum brought together key stakeholders, including the Minister of Information and National Orientation, the Deputy President of the Senate, traditional rulers, diplomats, senior government officials, members of the armed forces, media executives, and civil society representatives. Organizers say the event provides a platform for national and regional dialogue on security, economic development, and the role of the media in promoting responsible public discourse.
In an era shaped by misinformation and rapid digital transformation, responsible journalism is more important than ever. At the Voice of Nigeria, we remain steadfast in our commitment to professionalism, accuracy, and public trust. As we deliberate, let us be guided by a shared vision in West Africa that is peaceful, democratic, and prosperous. A region where institutions are strong, governance is accountable, and citizens are empowered.
In his address as chief host, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, reiterated that Nigeria remains stable and resilient despite current challenges.
Nigeria is not on the brink of any collapse. We have heard these stories over and over and over again. Those who are peddling these stories are also preparing how to live in Nigeria. You cannot have a country that is about to collapse and you are there planning on how to live within it. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is focused on firmly situating Nigeria as Africa's foremost nation. And that is why we must reject the utterly false narrative that the country is on the brink of collapse.
The Deputy President of the Senate, special guest of honor at the event, emphasized the role of the National Assembly in strengthening democratic institutions and supporting national development.
As representatives of the people, legislatures serve as the guardians of accountability, transparency, and constitutional order. It is gratifying, therefore, that in Nigeria, the National Assembly continues to play a vital role in strengthening democratic institutions, promoting legislative oversight, and advancing policies that support national development and regional cooperation.
The minister concluded by urging stakeholders to promote positive national narratives, strengthen strategic partnerships, and build a peaceful and prosperous West Africa. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
In the meantime, the federal government has described the recent U.S. advisory authorizing the departure of non-emergency personnel from its embassy in Abuja as a precautionary measure based on internal protocols. In a statement signed by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, he reassured Nigerians and the international partners that public institutions remain fully operational with no disruption to governance, economic activity, or daily life. The minister also highlighted ongoing measurable gains in security operations across multiple regions, driven by coordinated military efforts, intelligence-led interventions, and strengthened interagency collaboration. According to him, these efforts continue to reduce threats in affected areas while sustaining stability in the majority of the country. The minister also noted that Nigeria remains open for business, travel, and investment, with ongoing economic reforms, strengthening investor confidence, and improving the country's global standing. President Bola Tinubu has expressed deep sadness over the loss of the brave soldiers of the 29 Task Force Brigade Operation Hadinkai, who died in a terrorist attack on their camp in Benishik in Borno State. In a statement released by the presidency, the president also expressed heartfelt condolences to the military and the families of the soldiers, urging them to take heart in the face of the unfortunate loss. President Tinubu praised the courage and heroism of the soldiers who fought valiantly to repel the terrorists and ensure that Boko Haram could not overrun the communities these soldiers protect. While mourning the death of the gallant soldiers, the president urged the leadership of the armed forces and all soldiers on the front line not to be discouraged, but to draw strength from the nation's deep appreciation for their sacrifices. He said, quote, "From the reports I have received, our armed forces have been conducting sustained, intense land and air offensives against the insurgents, neutralizing many of their fighters and commanders. The insurgents' counterattack is a sign of desperation," end quote. The president urged officers and men to continue to serve with honor, courage, and patriotism, adding that the government will always stand by the armed forces, provide more of the equipment needed, and ensure the welfare of all who risk their lives for our safety. To the courts now, where Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court Abuja has sentenced a Boko Haram terrorist, Awalu Samaila, to death by hanging. In the judgment, Justice Omotosho convicted and sentenced Samaila to death after he pleaded guilty to the 6 counts preferred against him by the federal government. The judge ruled that the convict was not remorseful despite a lot of atrocities and lives lost to his acts of terror. In count 1, the defendant, who hails from Gulak village, Madagali local government of Adamawa State, was alleged to have, between 2012 and 2017, in Sabongeri Kiambula village, in Gulak local government of the state, professed to be a member of Boko Haram, a proscribed terrorist organization. In another count, Samaila was accused of participating in an attack at Damboa, Borno State, between 2012 and 2017, where civilians and military personnel were killed. He was also alleged to have participated in the attack at Gombe in Adamawa, where scores of civilians were also killed. The convict was equally accused to have taken part in the terror attack at Hong in Adamawa State, where civilian populace were killed. The judge also committed the convict to 25 years jail term in each of counts 1 and 2, while in count 3, he bagged 30 years imprisonment. In part 2, after the break, it's a double for Channels Television at the 2026 Bonn Awards as the station clinched the TV Station of the Year, while its visionary founder, Dr. John Momo, received a Lifetime Achievement Award. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Another day, another protest by members of the African Democratic Congress to INEC headquarters, this time by supporters loyal to Bala Nafiu, who are demanding that the electoral body recognizes him as the party's legitimate chairman. Nigeria is not on the brink of collapse, but is instead on a clear path toward growth and improved security. That's according to the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. NDLEA Chairman General Buba Marwa calls for a unified strategic approach to tackle insurgency across the country. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu directs his cabinet to begin direct negotiations with Lebanon, even as Iran accuses Israel of violating an existing ceasefire agreement. The Defense Headquarters has confirmed the killing of the few brave soldiers involved in the fight against insurgency when insurgents launched a coordinated attack on the 29th Task Force Brigade headquarters in Benishek of Borno State. Now, in a statement by the Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Michael Onoja, the attack occurred at about 12:30 a.m. on April the 9th this year when insurgents attempted to breach the defensive perimeter of the military installation. General Onoja explains that troops of Operation Hadinkai, led by the brigade commander, responded with exceptional courage, professionalism, and superior firepower, forcing the attackers to retreat in disarray, abandoning their mission. The military, however, acknowledged that regrettably the encounter resulted in the loss of a few brave and gallant soldiers who paid the supreme price in the line of duty. And President Bola Tinubu had already reacted to the incident, describing the fallen soldiers as heroes of the nation. Now, the threats of insurgency continue to stare the nation in the face, but the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, is calling for a unified strategic approach to bring together all forces and civil society to help fight insecurity in the country. General Marwa made this known during the opening ceremony of the Army War College Interagency Seminar on Bridging Intelligence Gaps among Security Agencies for Enhanced National Security in Abuja.
The Commandant of the Army War College, Major General Umar Al-Kali, is hosting this interagency seminar on bridging intelligence gaps among security agencies for enhanced national security in Abuja.
We may please take our seats.
The event has in attendance the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, retired Brigadier General Mohammed Marwa, among other stakeholders.
The official opening of the
In his opening remarks, the Commandant General underscores the need to deepen synergy among the armed forces.
This seminar serves as a platform to deepen cooperation, enhance collaboration, and share best practices in security management. By working together more effectively, we can build a more responsive and adaptable security architecture to counter threats and enhance national stability.
The need for unity of effort among intelligence agencies highlighted by speakers as the meeting considers such synergy as a foundational principle in modern security architecture.
This underscores the need for a unified response strategy to share relevant information for enhanced collective security. To optimize multi-agency efforts for effective threat response, we must address specific fundamental gaps in our intelligence sharing framework.
In most of these agencies, when they get intelligence in the locality, they prefer to share it with their headquarters so that their PR can be improved and get more resources for funding to carry out their responsibility while given the response of their headquarters to the Task Force Intelligence Coordination Facility, making it difficult to act in real time against such threats. And so, yes, they are there, they are working perfectly, but in most cases, these same people who come from individual security agencies are always confronted with loyalty to their bosses, where they must tell their bosses before they give.
Following the nation's security situation, the meeting is advocating for increased intelligence sharing across Nigeria's security ecosystems.
Channels Television is on a roll. Your multiple award-winning network has won the TV Station of the Year as the chairman of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, received the Lifetime Achievement Honours at the second edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards. The award ceremony, which held in Abuja, is part of activities marking the 81st General Assembly of the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BON.
Struggling, you should go back to radio.
The second edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards brings together personalities cutting across the media, politics, and other critical stakeholders. The award is organized by the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria to celebrate excellence and professionalism in the industry.
Excellence is not a destination, but a continuous journey. I encourage all practitioners, therefore, to remain steadfast in upholding the highest ethical standards, embracing innovation, and using the power of broadcasting to promote unity, development, and national progress.
Congratulations. The awards are in 24 categories, including television and radio. Multi-award-winning television station Channels Television clinched the TV Station of the Year award.
And the winner is Channels TV.
There were special recognition awards to veteran broadcasters and governance awards presented to state governors. The chairman of Channels Media Group received the Lifetime Achievement Award in broadcasting. Governor Basi Otu of Cross River State and Governor Ubasani of Kaduna, alongside Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara, also received governance awards. There were also posthumous awards to veteran broadcasters and media personalities.
Once again, we say a very big congratulations to the entire family of Channels Television. Let's move on. In Lagos, the state government has taken another step towards improving the quality of education as it unveils the Tolu Schools complex in the Ajegule area of the state. A president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, who commissioned the school complex comprising 36 public schools, 31 secondary and 5 primary schools in Nigeria, followed in local government area, says preparing the future leaders is paramount for the continuous growth of the country.
The remarkable scale and significance of the Tolu School complex, saving thousands, tens of thousands of students within a single environment is truly exceptional. The successful regeneration of such a large and complex educational system is highly commendable. This reflects vision, planning, and a very clear commitment to improving the lives of our young citizens. I commend His Excellency Governor Sanwo-Olu, the entire Lagos State government, for understanding and delivering a project of this magnitude, and for demonstrating what is possible when leadership is bold and focused. We must continue to invest in education, not just as a social service, but as a driver of economic growth and national development. When we equip our children with knowledge and skills, we prepare them to contribute meaningfully to society and to compete in a changing world like ours. Prison. And today I pronounce that no child...
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says the 36 schools in the Tolu complex is a 21st century infrastructure that is conducive for teaching and learning, describing it as part of the state government's commitment to quality education.
What we have built is a school for the 21st century. Mr. President, what they are commissioning today is not just a facelift. It is not a cosmetic intervention. It is a fully reimagination of what public education should look like in modern African city like Lagos. We have transformed Tolu Schools Complex into the largest integrated educational community. They say in Africa, I will keep it very modest in West Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa. A school city that now comprises 36 schools, 5 primary schools, 15 junior secondary school, and 16 senior secondary school, providing a complete educational ladder from foundation to the threshold of higher learning. To tackle overcrowding and create a more conducive learning environment, we have delivered new classroom blocks, each containing 18 classrooms. In addition, we've pushed extensive renovation to 24 others. We've ensured that we've restored to a safe, habitable, and inspiring spaces for teaching and learning. We've built a 4-story vocational skill acquisition center with dedicated workshop, a facility deliberately designed to bridge the gap between academic instruction and practical competence. We went out, we want our young people to leave school not only with certificates, but with capacity, with capability, not with ambition, but with employable entrepreneurial skills.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Goldman Sachs lowers its oil price forecast for the second quarter of 2026 following the US-Iran ceasefire. That's in business news. Please join us again. So let's head to the nation's capital, and Terry Ikumi is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Terry.
Well, hi, Ayo. Thank you very much. As Nigerians demand better security over their lives and property, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Olatunji Disu, is reiterating the commitment of his administration to vigorously pursue a people-centered policing policy. Speaking in Abuja while hosting members of civil society organizations led by human rights activists, Mr. Femi Falana, Mr. Disu says the management of the force is determined to change the negative narrative against the police.
Members of civil society organizations are here at the force headquarters at the instance of the Inspector General of Police. Issues of human rights abuse, illegal arrest and detention, payment for bail, non-compliance with extant laws on confessional statement by suspect dominate discussion.
In Nigeria, in a police station, and we're listening to the police here, it affects EFCC, SSL, all of them. When a Nigerian gets to a police station, the police will read out to him his rights. They call them Miranda rights in America. One, you are here with us. We want to know who to contact on your behalf. Two, we are going to interrogate you. You are not banned, you are not forced to make a statement unless you want to make it voluntary. The detainee of the suspect has the right to say, I want legal representation. That's if he doesn't have a lawyer. And if he doesn't have a lawyer, and he wants a lawyer, it is the duty of the police officer in charge of the station to contact the legal aid council.
In his response, the Inspector General of Police addresses the concerns raised by the group.
What is policing? Policing is simply protection of human rights. That is the definition of policing. So everything you have fought for, everything you have demanded of me is my job as a policeman. Somebody's car has been stolen. That means somebody has contravened the human right of the owner of the vehicle. You have gone to beat somebody up in his house. You have contravened the right of that person. Everything you do that you are not supposed to do, that means you have contravened the right of the other person. And that is my job, protection of lives and property.
With the new mantra of a people-centered policing policy, the Nigeria Police Force is reassuring Nigerians of effective and adequate policing devoid of conflict with civil society organizations.
Well, call it a passionate appeal, and you may not be wrong. The leadership of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria is urging the federal government to address the rising cost of petroleum pump price, which the union says is biting deeper into the finances of workers whose salaries can no longer take them home. President of the Congress, Mr. Festus Osifo, made the call at the State of the Nation News Conference in Abuja, where he also demands that government must stand up to its security responsibilities and stop the killings of citizens.
Today, comrade, we are seeing that the cost of petrol is edging towards 2,000 naira per litre, depending on the part of the country that you are. This, we know, was caused by the war currently going on between the United States, Israel on one hand, and Iran on the other hand. It has affected deeply the pockets of Nigerian workers. It has affected deeply the purchasing power of the salaries that we earn as Nigerian workers. Whenever the crude oil price goes much more than the projected benchmark in our budget, what do happen is that it leads to excess fund, right? So let government take that excess fund that was never budgeted for, take at least 60% of that excess fund, then use it to subsidize the crude that is being supplied to Dangote refineries. And when that is done, the feedstock to Dangote refinery the cost of that feedstock will reduce. So when the cost of that feedstock reduces, then it means that the gantry price is also going to reduce.
Well, concerns over pipeline surveillance contracts in Rivers State are deepening as youth groups protest alleged exclusion from a National Assembly hearing, while a new set of traditional rulers have now joined the call for a review of the current arrangements. The Ijo Youth Council, the National Youth Council of Ogoni People, and Ogoni Host Communities Youth Associations say they were not invited to the National Assembly Roundtable on pipeline surveillance, as some traditional rulers in the state push for decentralization of the contract, contrary to claims by the committees.
The Ijo Youth Council IYC, the National Youth Council of Ogoni People NICOP, and the Ogoni Host Communities Youth Association have staged a peaceful protest to register their concerns over a decision reached at the National Assembly hearing on pipeline surveillance and crude oil theft. Marching in a peaceful procession around Gukana local government area of Rivers State, the groups carry placards with various inscriptions regarding their grievances. The group leaders alleged that they were never invited to the National Assembly hearing, contrary to the Joint Committee's claims. They are now reiterating their demand for the decentralization of pipeline surveillance to the states to ensure equity, urging the Presidency and National Security Advisor to intervene.
The federal government, as a matter of national urgency, decentralize the pipeline surveillance contract that has been monopolized for the interest of equity and fairness. We are also aware that yesterday there was a discourse in the National Assembly where, as a result of petitions that were sent to the National Assembly, to the lower and the upper chambers, that the monopolization of this crude oil pipeline surveillance contract has led to crude oil or organized crude oil theft in the ICs. And that the National Assembly, which is shadowed with the responsibility of oversight, should investigate. Only for the National Assembly Joint Committee to meet yesterday to call one particular group of the surveillance contract to come and give their scorecard undermining or declining the exact reason why the petitions were raised.
The President, I want to assure you that the Ogoni youth are with you. But one thing we want you to do, to assure Ogoni youth that you are interested in our development, is to ensure that this pipeline surveillance contract is decentralized.
Days after some traditional rulers called for the contract to be retained in its present form, in Okochiri Kingdom, a group of traditional rulers is urging the president to split the contract to allow indigenous communities to play a more active role, arguing that the current arrangement excludes the locals.
I wish to call on His Excellency, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to take deliberate and necessary steps towards the decentralization of the pipeline surveillance contracts in the Niger Delta. We strongly believe that justice, equity, and fairness must guide the award of such critical national contracts.
Growing calls for review of pipeline surveillance contracts show the deepening divide among stakeholders in Rivers State.
The National Coordinator of the Presidential Initiative for Unlocking the Healthcare Value Chain, Dr. Abdul Mukhtar, has witnessed the commissioning of a new factory by Sam Pharmaceutical Limited in Ota, Ogun State, marking a significant milestone in Nigeria's drive to strengthen local healthcare manufacturing. The newly commissioned world-class facility is equipped with advanced technology to produce up to 40 million tablets annually, alongside millions of liquid syrups targeting common diseases in Nigeria. Dr. Mukhtar described the development as a major achievement for the initiative, noting that it is the first of about 12 new healthcare manufacturing projects slated for launch this year.
We are here in Ota, Ogun State, where we commissioned a factory, Sam Pharmaceuticals, which is a pharmaceutical company here in Ogun State. Since PBAC started, we launched about 6 factories so far. This year, we are launching about 12 new healthcare manufacturing projects. And this is the first one that we're doing. We have almost 11 more to go this year alone, and more are coming. This is a testament to all the right policies that government is putting in place. The executive order, of course, is taking shape. Companies are taking advantage of it in terms of fiscal incentives that we are providing to these pharmaceutical companies. We are providing an ecosystem that is supporting local manufacturing. This factory, as you can see, we just toured, is a world-class factory. The right most advanced facilities and equipment is going to produce about 40 million tablets alone and several millions of liters of liquid syrups for different common diseases here in Nigeria. It's a testament again that with the right policies has been put by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government, that is championed by the Honorable Coordinating Minister of Health, that only the sky can be the limit, because we are just starting. And like I said, this is just one factory. We are launching almost a dozen other factories just this year alone across different parts of Nigeria.
Well, that's it from Abuja. Back to Ayatunde in Lagos for the rest of the news.
Thank you so much, Terry. The Nigerian Breweries has launched a new entrepreneurship initiative to empower the youth in the southeast through the Igbo apprenticeship model tagged Wild Boy Life Experience. Speaking during a press briefing at the Enyimba International Stadium in Aba, Abia State, the senior brand manager Life Lager, Chima Dims, explained that the initiative is part of efforts to preserve and promote Igbo culture, values and identity, championed by a new generation of successful beer merchants.
Top executives of Nigerian Breweries PLC gather at the Enyimba International Stadium in Aba, the commercial nerve center of Abia State, to unveil the company's Life Lager Wild Boy Life Experience. At the launch, the company unveiled a new entrepreneurship initiative to empower young business minds and announced that 30 successful applicants will undergo a 6-month beer merchandising apprenticeship with top distributors in a program aimed at modernizing the traditional Igbo apprenticeship system for a new generation.
In the Wild Boy tradition, a powerful symbol of resilience, ambition, and the Igbo apprenticeship system that has shaped generations and entrepreneurs across the region. Wild Boy represents more than a stage in the journey. It reflects discipline, loyalty, learning, and the determination to grow into leadership and success.
I don't think we've talked about our culture as Igbo people well enough. And the brand, the Life brand, is one brand that has dedicated itself to really reflect the values and the culture and the identity of the Igbo people. Work under somebody and understand the business and then grow to become, established businessmen.
The initiative is designed to strengthen economic empowerment, mentorship and entrepreneurship while celebrating the enduring Nwaboy spirit of resilience and ambition. It exposes participants to the fundamentals of trade, customer relations and business development.
To ensure that the community is having a great fun while relaxing with their culture. So it's something that Life has been doing over the years, and we now decided these communities that we are doing partnership with over the years, it is also these communities where you have these individuals that are coming up to become part of this One Boy campaign. And so it's nice, it's just proper to get back to these communities to now not just work in terms of selling and having that partnership, but to also groom the individuals that build this community.
By this initiative, looking at entrepreneurship and its goals, Life has now decided to engage these young generations, okay, the future business leaders, okay, and the real beer merchants that we want people to be.
Nigerian Breweries says the Nwaboy Life Experience is part of its broader effort to inspire a new generation of entrepreneurs while deepening Life Lager's cultural connection with the Southeast. For many young people, the initiative represents not just a business opportunity, but a modern pathway to economic empowerment rooted in culture, mentorship, and enterprise.
Willibong is standing by to give us the latest in the world of business.
Thank
Thank you, Ayotunde. We begin with the oil space, where Goldman Sachs has lowered its second quarter 2026 oil price forecast following a U.S.-Iran ceasefire, which eased concerns over supply through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the bank now expects Brent crude at $90 per barrel and WTI at $87 per barrel, and that's down from previous estimates of $99 and $91. Analysts say the revised forecast reflects reduced geopolitical risk, though oil prices could still fluctuate amid ongoing uncertainty in the region. Now, strong investor demand for long-dated Nigerian Treasury bills pushed yields lower at the central bank's latest primary market auction, and the 364-day bill saw the highest demand, with subscriptions of 2.63 trillion naira against an offer of 500 billion naira, as reflecting investor appetite to lock in risk-free returns over a longer period. As a result, the one-year yield fell to 16.2%. That's down 23 basis points, while the 182-day bill also declined to 16.19%. The 91-day bill held steady at 15.95%, with demand slightly below its offer size. Now, checking with the stock market, the winning streak continues at the NGX amid earnings reports. John Mekwa has the details.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the stock market report. Well, Nigeria's stock market hit a new high today. It's another record broken for the very first time ever. We see the all share at the 203,000 level. Congratulations to investors. And I guess this follows the sentiment after that re-rating by FTSE Russell. So it's a good one, and Good Day seems to be ahead with the all share there, 0.28% in the green. And this is after 369 billion naira was brought in by investors today, bringing us back to the 130 trillion naira level. We've been here before. We lost it for a bit, but it's recovered. And now when we see those who drove this, mostly the Fugas were up, bringing, of course, the banking counter up today. So from First Holdco to UBA, GTCO, and we've seen the result of GTCO and Zenith, that of course have been guiding investor sentiment. Accessco is unchanged, however, but apart from them, there are others. When we see the consumer goods, for instance, that's also up 0.44%, following Honeywell Flour. Nestle Oil and Gas has continued to stay in the green zone, up 0.43%. Aradel, Eternal, they are very good to investors at this time. So we have the Fugas, we have the counters up, and we have the bull again.
Thank you, Ini. And let's see the snapshot performance for other major equities amid a fragile ceasefire. Business news. I'm Will Ibang. Is back to Ayotunde for more on the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered his cabinet to begin direct negotiations with Lebanon as Iran claims Israeli attacks have blatantly violated the existing ceasefire deal. Here's Simon Pusey with more on this and other international news and around the world in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
That this is not the last war. It is a step towards the path where we need to achieve all our goals.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel will continue to strike Hezbollah wherever necessary, despite the US-Iran ceasefire.
It was a grave violation, intentional grave violation.
Said Kadibzadeh accused Israel of a massacre in Lebanon. 203 people were killed on Wednesday, according to the health ministry. Kadibzadeh also said the Strait of Hormuz will reopen if the US withdraws its aggression.
You cannot
Israel carried out a large wave of airstrikes across Lebanon on Wednesday, which killed and wounded hundreds of people, while officials said the war against the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah continued, despite a ceasefire in Iran. Israel described it as the largest wave of airstrikes in this conflict, hitting more than 100 of what it called Hezbollah command centers and military sites in 10 minutes. The southern suburbs of Beirut, southern Lebanon, and the eastern Bekaa Valley were all targeted. The Lebanese Health Ministry said at least 182 people had been killed, a number that is likely to rise, with 890 wounded. Donald Trump has again attacked NATO for not supporting the US in the Iran war, following a private meeting with its Secretary General Mark Rutte. In a post on social media, the US president said NATO wasn't there when we needed them, and they won't be there if we need them again. Meanwhile, Rutte has described his meeting with Trump as very frank and very open, despite clear disagreements. Ahead of the talks, Trump has toyed with the idea of quitting the transatlantic military alliance after several NATO countries resisted his calls to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz to ease rising global oil prices. Al Jazeera has condemned the killing of one of its Palestinian journalists in an Israeli strike on the Gaza Strip, describing it as a deliberate and targeted crime. Mohammed Wizwa, a correspondent at the Al Jazeera Mubasher channel, and one other person were killed in a drone strike on a vehicle in Gaza City. The Israeli military alleged that Wishar was a Hamas terrorist and said it carried out the strike because he posed a threat to its forces in the area. Both the network and Hamas have previously denied that Wishar was affiliated with any armed group. Mexican army divers have rescued a miner from a flooded underground tunnel 2 weeks after he was first trapped. Francisco Zapata Najera was stuck 300 meters below ground after an embankment collapsed at the gold mine in the northern Mexican state of Sinaloa. 25 workers were inside the gold mine when the tailings dam, a structure which holds mining waste, burst on the 25th of March. 21 miners managed to get out, but 4 were trapped. It took rescuers a full 13 days to locate Francisco Zapata. Following more than 300 hours of searching, divers finally spotted the blinking of the miner's torchlight, which Zapata had turned on and off to alert them of his location. The search continues for another miner who is still missing.
All of you down there on Earth and around Earth, we love you from the moon.
The Artemis II crew say they have many more pictures and many more stories to share with the world as they prepare to return to Earth. The 4 astronauts on board the Orion spacecraft have completed their mission around the moon and are expected to splash down off the coast of San Diego at around 1 a.m. on Friday morning.
Now, distance from Earth count up and the distance from the moon count down.
Speaking to media from space on their way home, the mission's pilot, Victor Glover, said the crew were eager to share what they had seen with the world. It was the first time hearing from the team since their historic lunar flyby that saw them travel further away from Earth than any other human. And pop stars BTS have kicked off their marathon 85-date world tour. The 7 members soldiered on through pouring rain. BTS began the show with a heavy nod to their new songs, but continued to belt out their old classics like Fake Love and the fully English hits like Dynamite. The band members also kept the audience entertained with asides including light-hearted warnings on how to stay safe in the rain. The act took a break at their peak in 2022 for mandatory military service, also using time for solo projects.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. FIFA has unveiled its list of match officials for this year's World Cup, including 52 referees, 6 of whom are women. Football's governing body will also take 88 assistant referees and 30 video match officials who hail from all 6 confederations and 50 member associations. The World Cup in the United States, Canada and Mexico will be the biggest in history, with a 48-team lineup and 104 matches to be played. The president of the Confederation of African Football, Patrice Motsepe, has insisted he would welcome an investigation into corruption at the organization. Motsepe urged unity on the continent following the fallout from the 2025 African Cup of Nations final after meeting with Senegal President Bassirou Faye and officials of the Senegalese Football Federation. Sports is back to you, Ayo.
And the main news again. The president has expressed deep sadness over the loss of the brave soldiers of the 29th Task Force Brigade Operation Hadinkai, who died in a terrorist attack on their camp in Benishek, Borno State. And members of the African Democratic Congress led another protest to the INEC headquarters today, this time by supporters loyal to Bala Nafiu, who are demanding that the electoral body recognize him as the party's legitimate chairman. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Do have a good night.